Embark on a thrilling journey with Chen Liyi as he accidentally time travels to the Stone Age. Follow his quest to lead primitive tribes in battling beasts, constructing civilizations, and claiming the throne as their emperor. Armed with advanced technology, he unlocks its secrets and teaches primitive people to wield guns. Get ready for an epic adventure where the past collides with modern ingenuity. Our story starts in complete darkness with some primitive chanting nearby. The first thing that Chen Liyi notices as he opens his blurry eyes is the noise and a bonfire. He sees some women laughing and celebrating, so he thinks he somehow stumbled upon a bonfire party. His eyes turn to hearts, thinking that he'll have a blissful party in the woods. Our boy can't miss this chance. As the smell of roasted lamb wafts to his nose, he cannot hold back anymore. Getting up from his uncomfortable position, he finally has a clear view of the whole roast lamb, with some people wearing primitive clothing. It looks equally beautiful and delicious, so he doesn't waste another second and lunges forward as hard as he can, without knowing that he is tied up. The ropes naturally make him slide into the ground pretty hard. A painful slide on the rough ground makes him realize the situation he is in. Besides the ropes, there is a mystical prompt in front of him. It states that his main mission is to survive for 12 hours with more than 1 minute left. Noticing that the captive is awake, the primitive men take arms and menacingly walk forward. He might not know what's happening, but he prefers the sight of women around the bonfire, instead of these burly men. They look like bad news, so Chen Liyi wants to explain that this is all just a big misunderstanding, and he doesn't even know where he is. Words seemingly have no effect on these dudes though. As their muscular hands are about to take hold of him, he finally remembers what led up to this mess. But the question remains, where the hell is he? Let's turn back the clock to 12 hours ago, in this desolate land. Chen Liyi magically spawns in this foreign territory on the shore of a beautiful white sand beach. He feels as though the wind has been knocked out of his lungs. Cupping the clear water of the ocean, he opts to wash his face to regain his senses. The last thing he remembers is accompanying Sister Jean to buy accessories yesterday. Then after a nap, he just woke up on this beach. Could it be that the gods are punishing him for accompanying a rich lady, even though that shouldn't be a crime? Lost in thought, he hears some gibberish sounds within earshot. Chen Liyi happens upon some primitive-looking dudes and reckons that they must be cosplayers. Without a second thought, he approaches the group to ask them how to leave the beach. The smallest dude responds by hurling a freaking spear right in his direction. A simple piece of animal bone with a sharpened tip swiftly whistles inches from his face. The throw is smooth, and the makeshift spear leaves a shallow graze on his cheek. Chen Liyi's first instinct is to make a run for it, away from these lunatics. After a while, the sound of footsteps dwindles. He must have left them in the dust with his experience in sprint training. Normal people can't possibly catch up to Chen Liyi. But his brief overconfidence almost proves fatal. He forgets that those dudes are carrying spears with them. Now he is sure that they are chasing him, with the intent to kill. That realization triggers the start of his main mission to survive. He couldn't possibly pay attention to this wall of text when he's being chased to death. But as far as Chen Liyi knows, this type of thing must be a system. Just as he thinks that he has been transported to some period or someplace, another spear comes flying forward. This one is perfectly aimed at his head. He turns around at the last minute, and the spear hits him squarely on the back of his neck. With a critical hit, Chen Liyi quickly loses consciousness. This brings us back to the present, where he's helplessly tied up. Inspecting the prompt showed him that completing the mission could reward him with a survival package and 1 attribute point. Thanks to being knocked out for half a day, the mission is nearing completion already. He's granted the ability to distribute some points to his physique, strength, and agility, just like a game system. The next part of the reward is a survival package, which Chen Liyi doesn't hesitate to open. It grants him a novice rank specialization in all languages, as well as a novice rank survival booklet. A map that will record places he'll visit has also been activated. And finally, the Split Mountain Axe, with a friendly reminder that items can't be placed into the mystical storage space after being taken out. Knowledge of wild survival has been registered, and basic medical skills have been etched into his brain. When Chen Liyi zaps back into reality, he feels a whole lot different from before. The primitive people are still celebrating around the roasted lamb, but now he can fully understand the language that they are speaking. Based on context clues, this should be a point in time when civilization has yet to be born. And this game that he has been thrust into wants him to survive and build a civilization from scratch. It's basically an open-world strategic survival game. If that's the case, won't that make Chen Liyi a prime minister or even a god? For now, all of his attribute points shall be allotted to strength, while taking out the split mountain axe at the same time. Once both effects take effect, the game has officially started. With newly enhanced strength, these vine ropes can barely hold him in place. He easily tears them forcefully with raw force. Chen Liyi wasn't expecting the leap in strength from just one point of attribute to be this drastic. Breaking free from his restrictions attracted the attention of the macho men. He is not in the least bit intimidated by their frames, though. The guy with the skull mask quickly instructs the others to capture Chen Liyi with the intent to kill and eat. They quickly surround the lone captive, confident that there's no way to escape now. Chen Liyi just scoffs at their immature threats. Speaking in fluent caveman dialect, he calls them a bunch of dumbasses disrespecting God. And by God, he means himself. That type of trash talk wouldn't be effective, though. These primitive people have no concept of gods yet. Chen Liyi reckons that the man with the skull mask must be the leader. He continues to state that he was sent from the heavens to dominate the land, and they must be punished for disrespecting a deity. Skull Mask might be as stupid as a rock, but he is quite fit and brutal with his animal bone weapon. This encounter triggers another main mission to stand firm. Chen Liyi must deter the primitive people, subduing them in the process, and taking over as the new leader. Mission rewards consist of 1 attribute point and 3 hemostatic creams. Failure penalty would be the destruction of his new axe. He can't afford to lose such a precious tool. In this era, he'll have a troublesome life without a proper weapon. He can't lose the axe. Chen Liyi raises his weapon to block the skull mask's brutish attack. The impact from blocking that attack alone almost makes the ground he's standing on collapse. Who would have thought that the primitive people of this era were so strong? Skull Mask is surprised. It's not every day that his raw strength gets blocked completely. When it comes to a contest of strength, Chen Liyi won't back down. Now that his body has been enhanced by attribute points, while they are wrestling for control, he amps up the strength, and Skull Mask starts sensing the impending defeat. Skull Mask's primitive animal bone weapon cannot handle the sharpness of the axe and is sliced in half. Chen Liyi wasn't expecting that this type of thing would happen. Skull Mask isn't used to losing, but now his bone is sliced like butter. The combat pauses as the primitive man tries to make sense of what happened. Other cavemen also stare at the sliced bone in bewilderment. Chen Liyi was supposed to be in a celebratory mode, now that his victory was all but certain, but he was starting to have a bad feeling about this one. Skull Mask unleashes a harrowing scream, pissed off that his weapon was ruined. He instructs everyone in the vicinity to charge and attack the captive together to tear him apart, if they must. This is not fair at all. Skull Mask and the gang chase after Chen Liyi like sore losers. So many primitive people are ganging up on a normal 24-year-old man. How is that fair? From the time he arrived at this place, all he did was run. But now, he might have met his match when it came to speed. A caveman manages to catch up enough to prime a sneak attack from behind, only to get effectively thwarted by Chen Liyi's axe swing. Without a weapon and under the blade of the axe, the caveman starts begging for his life. Chen Liyi lowers his blade, but he is still pissed off at these bastards for chasing him with numbers, after losing fair and square. Tired of running, he takes a stand and insists that if forced, he can probably kill 5 people before he dies. That's what we call standing on business. If they don't want to be counted amongst those 5, then they should move back. Seemingly scared for their lives, the cavemen made way. If these barbarians decide to charge, Chen Liyi would certainly die. He needs to figure out a way to make them fear him. Among the primitive people, there are scared men and women that want no trouble. In fact, they are so scared that they immediately started running away in terror without Chen Liyi doing a thing. He asks himself, what in the world these bastards are scared of, not knowing that a gigantic predator is looming behind him. Another side mission is triggered, tasking him to chase a saber-toothed tiger away. Rewards include 2 attribute points and the favorability of the primitive people. It is automatically accepted, but he doesn't see any saber-toothed tiger around. The system might be malfunctioning, right? Looking up, it looks as though the human and the saber-toothed tiger scared each other. Chen Liyi immediately bolts out of there, with all the adrenaline and fear of such a beast. The saber-tooth swiftly follows suit. The beast has the agility and raw strength to tear a human apart. This is way too much to deal with on his first day. Whether it's primitive humans or primitive animals, Why does everything want to eat him in this era? Chen Liyi is barely dodging, all the lethal attacks coming his way from the back. If this goes on any longer, he'll probably get torn apart. This side mission dropped in his lap was way too much. How do you even chase this thing away? Half of his body will be cat food in just one bite at this rate. As if on cue, the saber-tooth finally manages to land a claw strike on Chen Liyi's back. He is forcefully slammed to the ground. His back is torn from the beast's claws. A scratch from those gigantic paws is unbearably painful. Chen Liyi might just have the worst luck. At this point, accounting for his injury, escape might be out of the menu. Still, fighting solo against such a monstrosity won't work. He needs to calm down and think. He asks himself what he could possibly do to deal with this saber-toothed tiger and spots the smoke from the bonfire. Beasts should fear fire, right? This could work, but he only has one chance to do it properly. The first step is to taunt the gargantuan kitty. Risking his life is the only thing that Chen Liyi could think of. Before the saber-tooth could pounce and maim him, he made a perfect slide underneath. The freaking cat expertly maneuvers its body to dropkick Chen Liyi in the stomach. This is his lesson, to not believe the things he has seen in movies again. But he knows that cat-type animals are all the same, no matter the era and size. They all like to play with their prey. Continuing his run, he arrives at the foliage that might help Saul for some time, while he reaches for the bonfire. The saber-tooth isn't sparing any effort on its rampage in the woods. Tree barks, leaves, it's scratching everything except our boy. He's been succeeding in keeping himself safe thus far, but will that continue? The bonfire with the whole roasted lamb is just right up front. But the kitty is hot on his heels. One solid attack could easily kill him right away. Just a few meters away from the fire, he has to roll his body awkwardly, taking advantage of the momentum. It is effective. Chen Liyi reaches the bonfire before the saber-tooth does. He quickly takes one of the burning wood and stabs it in massive kitty's eye as retaliation. The saber-tooth roars in pain and confusion. It's the beast's first encounter with fire used as a weapon. It stumbles to the side, becoming a lot more wary of the human prey. Chen Liyi's bet was correct. Fire can harm and scare the beast effectively. Gaining confidence with his burning torch, the tables have turned. But in his mind, he's just hoping that this kitty would just retreat quietly. While they are engrossed in human versus beast standoff, a mysterious sound fills the air. It sounds vaguely familiar to Chen Liyi's ears, and if his thinking is correct, then more bad news is coming. This is the sound of an even larger monster incoming. The sound of heavy footsteps can be heard all around the mountains. Primal roars follow suit. Chen Liyi and the big cat have to pause their fight, not daring to make any sudden movements. The two look at each other for a moment, sharing the same thoughts. Then the saber-tooth roars in fright and immediately runs away. Chen Liyi puts up a tough front, urging the big cat to come back and fight him head-on. With the saber-tooth retreating with its tail between its legs, the side mission has been completed. He just got 2 new attributes from that thing. While still holding the torch, he notices some movements from afar. The sound of the monster is drawing closer. Chen Liyi must run away first. He must put his life at the utmost importance. His 2 new attribute points are distributed to strength and agility. The enhancement in his physical capabilities is apparent. With his newly upgraded speed, traversing the woods and the rough terrain, it's a little more bearable and a lot faster. He follows the natural path to eventually arrive where the primitive people that captured him are hiding in fear. Chen Liyi calls to their attention. Skull Mask is confused. They've been conditioned to believe that an encounter with the saber-toothed tiger was a death sentence, but Chen Liyi is still alive. With a torch in one hand and an axe in the other, he proclaims that a saber-toothed tiger is nothing more than just a kitty in his eyes, that he defeated the beast and it ran away in fear. He closes his eyes, waiting for the primitive people to admire and worship him.
Stop it. Get some help.
With that settled, another main mission pops up. He needs to assist the primitive people to build homes and establish a tribe, with a population count of 50 in 15 days. Since the mission was triggered in advance, the duration was increased to 18 days. Completion will grant 3 attribute points, a large-scale resource chest, and a heritage plaque. Upon conducting a head count, there are currently 15 people in this tribe, including the children. Expanding the population to 50 in just 18 days would be extremely challenging. The only feasible way would be to assimilate other existing tribes. In the coming 18 days, Chen Liyi has to do everything in his power to finish this main mission. He spotted some new rewards on this one, so it's kind of thrilling. He can only hope that they won't disappoint. The night came to the camp of his new tribe with only the moonlight serving as their illumination. Chen Liyi could not sleep on account of his grumbling stomach. He was just too hungry to get some decent rest. Even though it's nighttime, he might as well find something to eat first. These primitive people are so brave and careless. They don't even have someone keeping watch while everyone slumbers. The only thing on Chen Liyi's mind right now was to get some chow. As far as he remembers, the meat of the lamb was still at the bonfire, where he fought the saber-tooth. The cautious angel on his shoulder warned him that the monster that scared the saber-tooth might still be around the area. But the hungry demon argues that waiting here will just lead to death by starvation. Sometimes life is about taking risks. Snapping out of his internal debate, it's useless to think about things too much. There's a low probability of bumping into a monster here anyway. Besides, he has the split mountain axe, in case he encounters some unsavory presences. Chen Liyi backtracks through the trail that he used to get to the tribe's camp under the moonlight. Once he arrives at the bonfire site, he chooses to play it safe and hides in the bushes. Surveying the area, it seems awfully quiet, but patience and caution are key here. Walking towards the spit roast, he noticed that there was some other prey in there too. Since Chen Liyi has assumed the role of the king in his new tribe, he can't be selfish now. He ties up the other meats on a makeshift rope, already looking forward to bringing food back to his people to share. Now that it was time to leave, he was starting to notice some details in the area that seemed odd. He was starting to feel like the area around this trail felt different somehow. His momentary distraction made him slip into a crater. Thankfully, it wasn't a cliff or a deep ravine. He just bumped his butt on the ground, but the food was secured. Just as he wondered who in the world would dig a hole in the middle of the woods, he started connecting the pieces of the puzzle. In this shallow crater, he could see his shadow clearly. This shouldn't be happening in a densely packed forest. The moonlight was coming from behind, and the crater was shaped in a distinct manner. There was a footprint of something big, something much more massive than a mere saber-toothed tiger. Based on the distance between the prints, its legs might be disturbingly long too. Besides the disturbing footprints, the trees and the trails were also destroyed, as if they were uprooted by a storm. There are only a few species that can grow much bigger than a saber-tooth. Could it be the beast that piqued every modern people's fascination? Chen Liyi realizes that since he encountered a real saber-toothed tiger, the other beasts of the bygone era might be present too. This place is not just the barbaric era. It's an era where the history's scariest and deadliest creatures roamed the lands. The creatures that he's only seen on screens or in pictures. With that in mind, Chen Liyi's priority is to find a safe place quickly. The trek back to the camp can't drag on. His back and forth trip took a lot longer than expected. The sun was already beginning to rise. He's got back in time for a hefty breakfast, with all the meat from the bonfire. The tribe went crazy for the free food. It immediately devolved into chaos, where the strong got most of the meat. Chen Liyi just stood back and observed, as his people reminded him that they were still uncivilized cavemen. He finally snapped and yelled at everyone to stop whatever they were doing, as there was no need to snatch from each other. These bastards don't even know how to make fire, much less about modesty or economy. There's so much that they need to learn, and so little time. Chen Liyi established the rule that the hunters that would hunt that day would be given priority when it comes to divvying up supplies. Skull Mask enthusiastically explained that they usually take turns in hunting. It was him, Obgun, and Huang Shi yesterday. Today would be Lu Teng, Heizhu Jiyao, and Longgu Chuoi's turn to venture out. Don't worry guys, we'll find some more memorable names for these dudes. But now that the king has declared that he'll personally go on the hunt, everyone was just itching to come along. The tribe hunters might look menacing, but they're just fanboys by heart. While everyone was busy cozying up to the king, there was one guy who was keeping it himself. Chen Liyi recognized the kid as the one who caught him on the beach. Poor guy must be afraid that the king holds a grudge. Chen Liyi wanted to clear things up and cheer the kid up. Since everyone wants to follow, they are permitted to come along to find a place where they can build a new home. The women of the tribe were excited, especially that girl that stands out among everyone else. Chen Liyi had to explain that a home is a place where they can settle down, like a tree-taking root. It's a place where they will provide nourishment and security for the current and future generations to come. The tribe girls loved the idea of creating a permanent home for the tribe, especially the blonde girl with the Amazon build. She might look tough, but she's a real softie who just wanted to stay with the king, even though her hugs could crush bones. Chen Liyi had to claw his way out of her embrace to explain that there'll be one big family in the future, so they'll stay together anyway. Of course, she interpreted that as the king, agreeing to have a child with her. Chen Liyi's work might be cut out for him.
It should have been me, not him!
Skeleton Mask asked the king where they could possibly build their home base. Chen Liyi instructed everyone to gather around and listen carefully to his plan. The first thing on their list is finding an open land that stretches out widely. It should have mountains to the north and rivers to the south. That way, they will have drinking water, irrigation, firewood, and stone material. It also establishes a relatively closed safe zone and reduces the risk of being attacked. With a well-rounded location, they'll be able to hunt and farm effectively. Secondly, they need to find enough seeds and wood for farming infrastructure. Maybe it would be best to find a spot near the seaside. That way, the delta can provide fertile land and a favorable environment for learning sea navigation in the future. Chen Liyi listed down a lot of requirements, but the quiet hunter that speared him down knew a place that satisfied everything. The king was enthused and told the meek hunter to lead the way. If they can find such a place, their tribe will be off to an amazing start. This place in question is in the east. However, it's best that they don't go there all willy-nilly, since there's a herd of cows near the area that are not easy to mess with. Chen Liyi wasn't even remotely scared of those cows. Those things had been domesticated where he came from. If they herd those animals, they can have a stable supply of meat and dairy products. With that in mind, the king has made the decision to target the herd of cows as their prey for today. He urged his hunters to grab their weapons as they headed east towards their new home, waiting to be claimed. Upon checking the perimeter, the hunting party assessed that the environment was in a normal state. Hidden beyond the mountains were endless woods. The surroundings also passed the smell check, but their surveyor might be a literal chicken. Just messing with you. It's the timid hunter making sure that the area is safe before they venture even deeper. Chen Liyi kept on reminding the guy not to be nervous. They can't afford to waste daylight after all. With his recent run-in and victory against the saber-toothed tiger, the king was feeling good about his capabilities to protect the tribe. Once they got to the mountaintop, they would be able to see the cow herd territory. Everyone was excited to see just what the fuss was all about under the king's lead. Upon reaching the top, the timid hunter got a lot more vigilant and scared. Chen Liyi reckoned that maybe there were other beasts to fear down there, other than the cow herd. The first thing he noticed was the ideal topography of the plains. It satisfied their requirements for the first civilization. Another thing that put a smile on his face was the smell of the sea. He promptly opened the system map to take note of the area. It showed that they were indeed near the sea, an area suitable for building the first city. Chen Liyi was all smiles, while checking out the vicinity, only to get yanked away by his cautiously timid hunter. The kid was starting to panic and pleaded for everyone to stay quiet in fear of the black cow herd discovering them. Taking another peek, a king promised to be careful this time around. He quietly activated the search function of the survival manual, revealing 3 kinds of plant life and 2 species of animals. There's the green sunflower grass. It can be used as medicine for stomach pain relief. Dragon vines contain a mildly toxic sap that can numb and paralyze. In the middle was the big tsubaki, a deciduous tree that could provide high-quality wood for a long time. As for the animals, there's the gray squirrel, a mammal that has a primary diet of nuts. Can be a source of delicious meat. The pincer wasp, on the other hand, has neurotoxin that can become fatal after 5 stings. As far as the system scan was concerned, that's everything there was. No signs of a black cow herd. Those cows might have retreated into the small forest. They should be near the river bend. The timid hunter volunteers to have a closer look, but the rest of the hunting party wanted to join. Half an hour later, they reached the site. Staying out in the open could be dangerous, so they took cover behind the bushes. If they go further than they already have, they run the risk of getting discovered. But it was so quiet that Chen Liyi didn't see why. They needed to take so many extra precautions. They're just looking for a bunch of innocent cows, right? How scary can they be? He ran another scan to locate the plants and animals around the area and to refresh the map. Again, there was nothing much to worry about nearby. He was starting to worry that there would be terrifying monsters nearby, but there wasn't even a calf nearby. Chen Liyi turned to his boy and asked if he remembered the area wrongly. The guy just pointed forward, not daring to make a sound. When the king turned his head, he saw what looked like a big black tree moving. The timid hunter finally shouted in panic to look above. Chen Liyi obliged and a chill ran down his spine. A silhouette of gargantuan beast traversing the woods surprised him to the high heavens. How are you supposed to milk that thing? Bro, if you don't know what that thing is yet, maybe its moving sound would give you a clue. The system labeled the beast as the iron-horned black cow, the herbivorous beast that has a strong sense of territory. Skull Mask carefully approached the king and asked if they were really going to hunt that monster. He already promised that they will, so there's no backing down now. Chen Liyi sealed his resolve and tasked everyone to prepare an ambush, while he checked things out alone. His rigid performance earned him some cool points from the hunters, but deep inside, he's scared to death for his tribe. For now, he can only rely on his superior agility attribute. Chen Liyi used the tall trees to conceal himself from the view of the herd. One arm from one cow was already thicker than his whole body. Maybe it would be wiser to target a little calf as a test first. Going toe-to-toe against full-grown beasts was way too frightening. He found another one. Feeding on leaves, it would be rude to disturb someone eating right. Upon arriving at the edge of the woods, he found the smallest cow there was. Thinking that the baby would be docile, he wanted to take a polite approach. He finally came out of the trees while hiding his axe, trying to look as harmless as possible. The calf just looked at him curiously with its googly eyes. Chen Liyi forced a smile, betting on the baby cow to be friendly. But his bet on the calf not to attack so suddenly didn't pay off. It suddenly turned into a rampaging monster. To make matters worse, it mooed so loud to get the attention of the adult cows. The blue marks on their bodies turned red as a stampede of angry cows started heading for poor Chen Liyi. He tried to reason with the beasts, but they didn't falter even just a little. The king had to jump and swim across the river while begging the cow herd to leave him alone. He thought that the water might deter them, but it didn't. Its hunters stayed still in the safety of the bushes while praising their king. They think that only their fearless leader would dare to provoke an entire herd by himself. But Chen Liyi quickly approaching a cliff, and that's a dead end. They thought that the king might be planning to take out the entire herd by himself, once and for all. Out of terror and adrenaline pumping in his veins, he managed to jump the steep walls of the cliff. After some impromptu acrobatics, he got hold of the cliff face. Looking below, the angry cows were not hitting the brakes at all. One by one, they crashed against the solid wall. It knocked out a lot of them in the process. Fixing his position on the cliff, Chen Liyi watched as more cows hit the wall. He started taunting the other beasts to do the same. It would be great if the entire herd knocked themselves out. Since it looks like they can't climb such a steep wall, he'll probably be safe up in his current position. As the cows turned their backs, Chen Liyi could finally breathe with relief. He promised to get these fat cows after teaching his tribe how to hunt and make weapons. But the more pressing problem at the moment was to figure out how to get down. He can't just descend the same way he climbed up with those crazy cows waiting below. The only feasible way was to climb upwards and survey the location. With his strength, it was easy to climb the cliff, no matter how steep it was. At the other side of the solid wall, the view of the seemingly endless and tranquil sea welcomed him. His initial assessment of the place has been confirmed. This was the perfect spot to jumpstart civilization. He vowed to build a tribe, or maybe a city here. No, he will build an entire empire in this place. Chen Liyi's journey has just begun. The hunters who stayed on the other side of the river noticed that the cow herd was heading back, but the king was nowhere in sight. It's entirely possible that their new leader has been crushed. If that was the case, then Skull Mask wanted to go to the other side of the river to retrieve the king's amazing axe for himself. Just as he was about to head out merrily, a whistling sound could be heard coming from behind. The axe that he so badly wanted almost carved his body, lodging itself into a tree. Their king came out of nowhere, maliciously praising Skull Mask, also known as Stone Bone, for being so bold. The guy was already claiming his equipment, as if hoping for the new king to die. His hunters finally welcomed him back after waiting for so long. Stone Bone immediately changed his tone and tried to curry up to the king. Chen Liyi insisted that he plans to eat cow meat as a body supplement after this hunt is done. But it was clear that they were no match against those beasts, and even if they did manage to wrangle one, the meat would be too tough to chew. They weren't answering the king's question, though. Chen Liyi made it his personal mission to slaughter the monsters that cornered him to desperation. But that's going to take effort and preparation. From today, he will teach the tribe how to make weapons, and how to hunt using those said weapons. Their time frame would be 3 days. After that, they will come back to hunt those cows properly. The first step in crafting a decent weapon is gathering resources. That's precisely what Chen Liyi was busy with, chopping down trees for high-quality wood. With split mountain axe and enhanced strength attributes, the task of gathering wood was easier than ever. These ancient trees were no match for his blade and technique. The hunting troop was amazed by their king's efficiency too. Stonebone was curious why they were chopping trees, though the tree itself can't be eaten, and there are no fruits on top. It was practically useless, right? Chen Liyi had to explain that everyone needs to watch what he's doing carefully for future use. First, they will need a thin branch around 2 meters long. They will sharpen one side of the tip into a pointed edge. With that, a basic spear could be crafted. Creating a new weapon granted the king 1 point in the technology attribute. It seems like other than completing system missions, he could obtain attribute points through practice too. But he doesn't know what use this technology attribute has. Anyway, he explained to the hunters that this new weapon is called a spear. It can be used to stab or throw. With one smooth motion, he hurled a wooden spear, and it whistled through the air. The tip quickly punctured a tree along the way and lodged itself deeply with impressive momentum. Chen Liyi's throwing force was so powerful that it nearly obliterated the tree, causing long cracks to form on the surface. Just like that, the primitive hunters are introduced to a new tool in their arsenal. Stonebone was the first to comment that this spear thing was a game changer. They'd always picked wood from the past, but they'd never tried something like this before. Everyone was clamoring to get a turn to try the weapon. Since Stonebone was the most enthusiastic of all, he'll get first dibs on the spear. After Chen Liyi finishes making spears for everyone, their proper training will begin. A few more trees were cut down and shaved. Everyone had their personal spears to play with and to use for combat training. They've never held something so long, thick, and hard like this wood. The king has also assumed the role of instructor, teaching everyone through practical combat experience, 2 people at a time. Stonebone and Baldy looked at each other with mutual understanding that they'd go all out. With their respective spears in hand, the two charged in at different angles. This might just be training, but the primitive hunters were going in like their lives were on the line. The force behind their spear strikes was impressive, but Chen Liyi's movement was way too skillful. He saw every movement of the enemies clearly and responded accordingly. When he spotted a chance to counterattack against Stonebone, he immediately took action. 1 down, and another 1 to go. Baldy wasn't done fighting yet. Both competitors had the mutual respect to consider this bout as a fight to the death. And if that's the case, then drawing blood would be unavoidable. The rest of the hunters were shocked on the sidelines. Chen Liyi stopped the spar with his spear next to Baldy's trembling neck. If he had taken the shot, the guy would have died. He decided to switch his grip to the dull edge at the last second, sparing Baldy's life. These cavemen have never seen such a masterful display of combat before. They saw Chen Liyi as an unbeatable god of combat. But he clarified that he could run circles around them because they're relying on brute force instead of technique. Wooden spears are most effective at their sharp edge, so they need to take advantage of that. The hunters would need a lot more combat practice, but they will focus on throwing for now. Chen Liyi prepared a marked stone to simulate a target. They have to stand a decent distance away to practice their throws. The first to hit will be rewarded with 1 more wooden spear. Stonebone loved the sound of that reward, so he volunteered to go first. Chuckling his spear into the stone target, he put his entire strength behind the throw. He was so strong that he managed to pierce a hole through the target, but it was far from the bullseye. Chen Liyi praised Stonebone's strength while criticizing his mediocre accuracy. Next up would be the timid hunter named Seeker, who chucked the spear and nearly skewered their king. This Seeker guy's accuracy might just be fixed on Chen Liyi's head. He'll need to work on that. Next was Yellowstone and so on. Nearly all of the primitive hunters tried to give it their best shot, but the target remained intact. Chen Liyi was starting to worry that this group had no talent in spear throwing at all. Maybe he was too hasty with this challenge. Just as he was doubting their training, a wooden spear whooshed through the air with impressively controlled force. It homed in on the small mark and hit the target, bullseye. He turned around to see who threw the spear. It was the kid with the dog headdress, enthusiastically asking the king if he won. There's no doubt about it, Chen Liyi urged the kid to continue working hard with his throws, now that he has 2 spears. Up in the trees, the muscular cavewoman came to find the king, to notify him that a beast was currently heading in their direction, coming from the forest. Chen Liyi remained calm and instructed his hunters to grab their spears and prepare to fight. The monster in question is coming, and they must brace themselves. This was actually perfect timing. They can use this instant hunt to let the hunters gain some practical experience with their spears. The beast came in running with fearsome momentum, wrecking the trees along the way. It was a fuzzy boar-like beast with humongous horns. With the monster locking in on the hunting party, they must stand their ground or get decimated in the process. Chen Liyi wasn't too worried, though. His mind was already set on having this beast's meat for dinner tonight. The hunters surrounded the red boar, with the king taking on the frontal attack. His command was to circle around the beast, and his men did not have any problem with that. They were to wait for further orders, while the king tested the waters. And by testing the waters, I mean tanking a full-charge bum rush with just a wooden spear in hand. Chen Liyi's presence of mind allowed him to stab the beast in the right place at the right moment. With a wooden spear lodged in its face, the boar's speed decreased. With the target slowed down, the chance to overwhelm the monster with numbers had come. Stick and Wolf Bone were tasked to throw their spears. The two of them showed the most promising potential out of everyone in the initial testing. It wasn't too hard to hit the boar in some painful areas, on account of its massive size. Mr. Red Boar grimaced in agony, as two spears lodged deep into his flesh. It was starting to go out of control, forcefully snapping the wooden spear that the king was using to hold it in place. Now that it was free from the broken spear, the beast got a few brief moments to breathe and assess the situation it was in. Surrounded by hunters holding wooden spears at every angle, it was not looking good for the fuzzy boar. Stick took the initiative to unleash his second spear, while the target was stationary. This one hit the monster in its eye, causing it to go on a rampage with hindered vision. Chen Liyi smiled at Stick's show of skill. He might have uncovered a diamond in the rough. While the boar was going crazy, the king called Stone Bone. The former leader of the tribe might not be the most accurate, but he showed the most brute strength. It's his turn to attack now. Along with the hunters on the right side of the beast, they rained down wooden spears on the blinded monster. Feeling sharp pains all over its body, the monster quickly stomped forward, heading for the king. It was trying to bulldoze the single person standing along the way to make its escape, but the king wouldn't let that happen. As soon as the beast got close, Chen Liyi slashed laterally with his split mountain axe. Seeker, who had been hiding up in the trees, was called to do his thing. From up above, he jumped down with his wooden spear in hand, aiming to stab it on the boar with gravitational momentum. With the boar in the perfect spot, Seeker managed to land a fatal blow on its head. Another searing pain assaulted the monster's senses, causing it to turn abruptly, crashing against the trees. At this point, Chen Liyi's system started dropping warning notifications that the monster had gone berserk. With the boar having enhanced strength and little to no self-control, the king ordered everyone to get away. The one suffering the most from the berserk state was Seeker, who couldn't let go of his spear for fear of getting launched to death. Stonebone, Stick, and the rest were left defenseless and about to get trampled, while they yelled for their king to not be a hero. If Chen Liyi saw his men on the brink of wiping out, he would do something about it, even if it meant using every iota of strength inside his body to deliver the most powerful slash that he was capable of. A slash that flabbergasted the primitive hunters, wondering if the king was okay behind the thick dust clouds. His men finally started seeing the silhouette of a man standing upright on top of the beast, with multiple wooden spears poking out. The king had dealt the final blow and playfully told his men to stop shouting so loud before they woke up the dead beast. On a serious note, he praised his hunters for doing an amazing job in this life-threatening hunt. Tonight, everyone shall eat a hearty meal, thanks to the king's strength and the group's effort. Meanwhile, Seeker was still stuck on top of the boar's head, his hands stuck gripping the spear. He looked up to see the king shrouded by the sunlight, like God offering his hand to help a mere mortal. Seeker took the brilliant king's hand, and Chen Liyi praised his exceptional effort in playing a crucial part in this mission. It was like his fear that the new king would hold a grudge for their first encounter had dissolved, and what was left was genuine veneration for the leader. As for Stick, the kid might look small and unthreatening, but his accurate spears were game-changing. The king even went as far as calling him the MVP for this hunt. From now on, Stick will have permission to follow in every hunt. Chen Liyi even promised a new weapon as a reward. Stick hopped in the air in excitement after getting recognized by the king. The crew promptly took the boar carcass back to camp. Stonebone sat with those who weren't able to join the hunt and started spreading the story of how they subdued such a powerful beast. Of course, The guy embellished some parts, especially his role in the hunt. The Amazon blondie, named Big Big, passed by with a gigantic piece of meat, and Stone Bone asked for a piece. Big Big politely refused, as this meat she was carrying was specially reserved for the king. She promptly delivered the hunk of meat, and the king asked if everyone had been eating their rewards raw. They were, but Big Big doesn't see any problem with that. As far as Chen Liyi remembers, these people already knew how to use fire, but now they're back to eating raw meat again. Big Big finally understood and explained that they couldn't preserve the fire source in fear of the saber tooth last time. So it seems like their bonfire came from some sort of accidental source. In modern times, fire is widely regarded as the beginning of human civilization. It was used to expel wild beasts, create a safer and more comfortable existence, and cook food. Even future cultural developments are intertwined with the importance of fire. Chen Liyi's tribe is a lot more backward than he initially thought. Their understanding of fire is limited to making raw food more delicious. To strengthen this primitive tribe, it's imperative that they learn how to make fire. His first student would be Big Big. For this, he can just use the broken spearheads from the earlier hunt. With his tribe members gathered, he urged them to focus and take a look at what he was doing as he rotated the spearhead on a log. He added some wood shavings and tree fluff to the depression on the log while rolling the spearhead between his hands patiently. As the rotation hastened, smoke started going up from the dry materials. Once he lifted the broken spearhead, a kindling of fire appeared.
Someone cooked here.
Just like that, Chen Liyi made the first man-made fire in history as the tribe celebrated the descent of the god of fire. They won't be eating raw meat anymore. Stone Bone wanted the whole world to know that their king could summon fire. Chen Liyi had to stop him from going all around the woods yelling, as it's better to keep a low profile for now. Meanwhile, the other tribe people were already getting busy tending to the little flame. Chen Liyi's moment was interrupted by another system notification. Making the first man-made fire in history gave him a whopping 10 points in the technology attribute. He was starting to believe that accumulating technology points was way too easy. That might be the case, but he still doesn't know what these points are useful for. Upon clicking the stat, the system informed him that technology points could be used to identify heritage plaques for 10 points each. He remembered that the settlement quest had 1 plaque as a reward. Still, these plaques are a mystery. Technology points are the key to unlocking what they're hiding. While he was lost in thought, Seeker came to his side to inform him that he saw traces of nursing on the wild boar while they were dividing the meat. That means that it's highly likely that there might be cubs around its territory. Seeker took the initiative to search the nearby areas where the battle was fought and actually found the orphaned fuzzy boar cubs. Hearing that piece of info triggered another side quest to fence in the cubs and domesticate them. Rewards included a small supply chest and a basic recipe. This time, Chen Liyi has a choice whether to accept or not. It sounds like the system wants him to tame some beasts. This could be a part of a series quest. Little Seeker was tasked to go with Big Big to fetch the boar cubs from where he found them. The king strongly reminded them to be careful not to hurt the babies. Big Big was excited to receive and fulfill the king's request, so she took poor Seeker by the hand and darted out of the camp. As he watches the unlikely duo go their merry way, he formulates a plan to make a pigsty before they return. For this, Stone Bone and the crew are to join them after eating their piping hot meal. The king has some work that needs to be done. It's been a long day, and they got a lot done before the sun completely set. Chen Liyi had his men collect as many branches as they could. They had no clue what it was for. Back in the camp, the rest of the tribe were doing some handicrafts using dried grass. Stone Bone curiously asked them what was up. Stick explained that the king taught them how to make grass ropes, a much sturdier alternative to the vines that they've used before. You just need to smooth out the straws and weave them into ropes by crossing them. Stone Bone watched the intricate process and felt a headache coming from too much information. Chen Liyi just ordered him and the muscle crew to bring the branches over. He was preparing the foundation of the pigsty by making evenly spaced holes in the ground. The king instructed the muscle crew to pick up the branches and tie the grass ropes around. Each person needs to make at least 5 of these cross-like wooden frames. Once that was done, the frames were inserted into the shallow pits that he prepared on the ground. It was then bonded together, with more woven grass ropes at the top so that they formed the shape of a cage. The final touches would be covering the entire structure with straw in an orderly manner. And just like that, The makeshift pigsty has been completed. Chen Liyi watched from the back as the tribes celebrated the formation of the structure. Now they're really getting somewhere. Without delay, the whole tribe made a mad dash towards the pigsty, surprising the king. It turns out that they were trying to get into the small hut. It's the first time that they've seen something like it after all. Chen Liyi couldn't help but facepalm as he told them that the pigsty wasn't meant for humans. At the same time, Big Big and Seeker have finally arrived, hauling the bear cubs. Seeker was carrying 2 healthy baby pigs, while Big Big was carrying the bulk of the litter. There were 8 cubs in total, and they scooped every last one. Now, those boars are the ones that will be taking residence on the freshly made pigsty. Wolfbone was the first one to protest and beg his king not to give the marvelous structure to the baby pigs. Such a good nest will just be wasted on wild boars. The bald hunter followed suit, now that they finally built a shelter to shield from wind and shade. Everyone wanted to live in it. They just want a home to cuddle with the king. Chen Liyi felt more scared at that moment than he did with the hunt. He doesn't want to cuddle with these beefed-up cavemen. Damn, no cuddling with the homies. If they really want to live in the pigsty, they could. But when the tribe starts building more comfortable wooden houses, they can't change residences. Hearing that better homes would be built, Baldy immediately changed his tone and conceded the pigsty to Wolfbone. But he didn't want to live there either. It has been settled. Seeker was tasked to put the cubs in a new home. Stick curiously asked what their plan was for these cubs. They were supposed to be food, so why in the world are they taking good care of them? Chen Liyi just presented them with the idea that if they do this, they'll be able to have plenty of meat without going out to hunt every day. They will be raising these cubs and letting them reproduce even more in the future, so the tribe can live the good life. It's okay. If his tribe doesn't understand the concept yet, they'll learn as they go in the future. With the cubs secured, the taming side quest has been completed. The pigsty even granted Chen Liyi 1 point in technology. He immediately opened the small supply chest reward. Inside was a plain bag of salt. The basic recipe reward, on the other hand, gave him the recipe for fried eggplant, stir-fried peanuts, fried eggs, roasted lamb leg, and stir-fried clams. He couldn't help but think that the system was telling him to become a chef, since technology hadn't developed yet. But completing these recipes could unlock special rewards. He'll have to pay more attention to ingredients and seasonings in the future. As soon as the moon hung above the camp, the whole tribe was out like a light. Little Seeker and the king are the only ones still awake, sitting by the bonfire. The king can see that the kid was working really hard. He fought valiantly at the boar hunt, and now he's guarding everyone while they're sleeping. Seeker is still feeling guilty for causing trouble to the king, so he thinks it's only right that he endures this much. Chen Liyi already thought as much. He assured the little guy that he's not the type to hold grudges. But while they were here, the king wanted to know a few things regarding the existence of other tribes around the area. Seeker answered that they'd encountered a few tribes, but all of them were hostile, and they looked quite different. With Chen Liyi's curiosity piqued, he asked for more details. How big were the tribes? Where do they live? Seeker knows of 3 different clans nearby: the Coconut Grove clan, the Bay clan, and the Giant Stone clan. Although he says nearby, they're actually located quite far. It would take at least a day and night's journey to reach them. Chen Liyi wanted to know more. The more information he has, the better. The Coconut Grove clan is the closest one, on the eastern side of the forest, just south of the big black cow herd territory. They have 30 to 40 people, and they dislike conflict. They're good travelers, under the leadership of a formidable woman. The Bay clan is roughly the same size, located in the southern coastal area. They're not human, and they are always locked in internal conflicts. The Giant Stone clone is the most powerful with its large population, residing on the southwest mountain. They rarely come down to the plains. There's a rumor that their leader has gained divine power and can kill a tiger with bare hands. If this intel from Seeker is accurate, the Coconut Grove clan is the most ideal target for tribe assimilation. Considering his personnel in this current tribe, it's best to find a way to conquer the clan peacefully. The king's train of thought was interrupted when he felt a cold presence coming from behind. Thankfully, it was just Big Big sneaking up on him with her always cheerful look. She just wanted to ask the king if he wanted to do something exciting with her. Big Big hasn't even gotten into the finer details yet, and Chen Liyi was already chickening out.
Boy, if you don't get...
Big Big just started meowing adorably while asking the king if she looked like a kitty. Chen Liyi had to answer yes, but a saber tooth might be more accurate. Before Big Big's role-playing went even further, the cowardly king grabbed the sleeping seeker as an excuse to get out of there. Seeing him run away from her like that, Big Big was devastated. Tears were forming in her eyes. Chen Liyi ran so fast and so long that the sun was about to rise again. He and Seeker just took this as a chance to scout the coastal regions. When two figures came out of the water, Seeker notified him that their targets had arrived. The king immediately put his game face on. It turns out that they came here to watch as the Bay clan surfaces to hunt some dodo birds, a docile bird with poor meat quality but high egg production. The Bay clan has gotten quite good at catching these birds as their regular prey. After waiting all night, Chen Liyi finally caught a glimpse of this hostile clan. These aquatic brutes don't even care that the bird's meat was quite bad. They just wanted some chow. They work together in hunting the thing, but bicker over who gets the prey. They're just a bunch of brawny, but simple-minded fellows. There should be around 30 of them in total. Absorbing this clan would bolster the tribe's numbers, while securing resources like the dodo birds. Seeker brought up the fact that they don't even have half the force to win a fight against these brutes. That's the biggest problem they have right now, but they have some strong weapons to balance it out. But before dealing with the Bay clan, they still need to eliminate the cow herd. They can use the resources from that to craft even more powerful equipment. They'll just go back for now after scouting out the future enemies. When they got back to the camp, the sun was already hanging high and mighty. The crew was busy with their assigned tasks. Most of them were just hauling wood. Their monotonous chores took a pause when the king and Seeker came back. Stonebone cried in relief. Everyone searched the area and thought that the king had abandoned them. Chen Liyi apologized for worrying his subjects and urged them to get back to work, as they had a lot to do. Stonebone and the best hunters will continue with the wooden spear training. Stick will be in charge of teaching everyone the proper throwing technique. They'd only have one day to try and improve as much as possible. The deadline of his main mission is slowly drawing closer. He needs to expedite things faster. Worried about what the future holds, his reverie was interrupted by a sweet and timid voice. Big Big just wanted to show him some leaves that she gathered. They're supposed to be the most comfortable wipes after doing the deed. He just laughed. Big Big's direct nature was starting to grow on him. But for now, he needs Big Big to gather all the ladies to help in sharpening more wooden spears. They're also going to need some rocks to make some stone axes too. Big Big is always up for tasks given by the king. She assured him that all the sisters will be gathered right away. After a while, Big Big and the tribe ladies gathered some rocks for the king's next workshop. Big Big herself found a massive rock that would be perfect to shape into a whetstone. First, they're going to rub a chunk of stone on the whetstone until they obtain a sharp edge or point. Then, they're going to tie it into a wooden stick with the grass ropes as tight as possible. Just like that, they will have made a stone axe. The tribe ladies watched the entire process in awe of the king's ingenuity, praising him for his godlike skills. Demonstrating the crafting of the axe also unlocked stone grinding, granting him one more technology point. Firemaking gave him 10 in one go, but bringing civilization to the new Stone Age only gave him 1. It was infuriating, but he didn't have a choice but to accept whatever the system gives. For now, he instructed the ladies to do what he did and follow his instructions. They can show him the finished product whenever they finish crafting. Big Big was the first one to finish the assignment. She actually crafted a dual-edged axe in the same time frame that Chen Liyi crafted a single-bladed one. She took inspiration from the king's divine axe for her stone weapon. Talking with Big Big surprisingly opened up a new prompt from the system. It stated that Chen Liyi has met the conditions of transitioning from the old to the new Stone Age. He also helped a tribe member discover their talent. The hidden feature of talent discovery has been activated. His system labeled Big Big as a tool builder. It seems like this talent discovery feature can reveal someone's unique talents. The tool builder talent is quite a valuable one. Big Big will be a massive asset going forward. Unbeknownst to him, he's been staring at the lady for far too long, making her all shy and timid. He turned to the other ladies and instructed them to follow Big Big's lead as the standard. But first, they're going to prioritize as many wooden spears as possible. Today was a day of crafting instead of hunting. They cranked out one spear after spear until the sun had set. Unsurprisingly, Big Big was the one to finish the 30th spear. She even made more than half of their entire stock. Moreover, the quality of her work continuously got better as she made them. Her talent in this area was impeccable. The king was so enthusiastic about getting so many spears out that he failed to notice Big Big's hands. She spent the entire day sharpening stones and making wooden spears that were full of painful blisters, but she kept on insisting that her injuries were no big deal. Because in her mind, as long as it helps her king, she doesn't mind going through the pain. Big is an S-tier queen material, and everyone who disagrees can fight me. Big wasn't the only one suffering, though. All the tribe ladies were working with their hands, the whole day too. Chen Liyi praised everyone for toughing it out and working hard for the whole day, but the ladies demanded that he blow on their hands. He had to book it out of there, as he expressed his appreciation for what they did, excusing himself to look at the results of the hunting crew's training. Being flooded by the demands of those straightforward women was no joke. It was too intense. Walking near the training grounds, the king heard a resounding voice directing everyone's actions. The hunting crew has been using a tied-up gigantic log as their moving target to train. It almost crushed Chen Liyi if he failed to react in a split second. It's only been one day and his men have already moved on to moving targets. They must be practicing quite seriously. In this round, Yellowstone and Wolf Bonehammer's team, one with more spear hits, Stick supervised the session effectively, resetting the targets after every contest. He was so engrossed in training that he only noticed that the king had arrived now. Everyone has already made significant progress today. Most of the crew can easily hit the moving targets now. With the talent discovery feature, Chen Liyi saw that Stick gained the title of throwing master. Black Boar Tusk has great strength, but struggles to grasp the timing for throws, only unleashing his potential when teamed up with Stone Bone. Green Vine, on the other hand, was the silent type that practices diligently. He was the first to master the technique. But the standouts for today were Yellowstone and Wolf Bonehammer. On their own, they're nothing special. But when they team up, they can alternate throwing 4 spears in rapid succession, while maintaining the highest score each time. With this much progress, they should be able to put up a fight against the cow herd. But just to be safe, they're going to bring a secret weapon as well. Stick heard the term secret weapon, and his ears perked up. The night had come, and while everyone was asleep, the king stayed up hammering on some slab. His concentration was at its peak, while working non-stop. Each swing deepened the groove on the slab, and after working all night, his work was done. Back in the training grounds, Chen Liyi spoke of a secret weapon. He took out some black leaves and instructed everyone to collect as much as they could. But if their hands had wounds and blisters, they must make sure not to touch the leaves. The system identified this thing as a natural paralyzing agent. Hopefully, they extract from the leaves and also paralyze monsters. Just in time after getting the extracts, Big came in with all the wooden spears they had available. She asked him about the weird shallow pit in the middle of the stone slab. Chen Liyi explained that this is a stone mortar, another invention that gave him 1 point in technology. He tasked Big to call the tribe ladies again. They'll use the stone club to crush the herbs in the pit to apply the sap on the tips of the spears. Wolf Bone came out of nowhere, asking what their role would be. The dudes wanted to play with clubs too. But their job tonight is to eat and rest, so they'll have the energy for tomorrow's battle. Dawn had arrived, and Chen Liyi was just chilling on top of a tree, eating his barbecue with some salt. As expected, grilled meat tastes a lot better with some seasoning. Big interrupted his chow time with the news that the secret weapon was ready. She threw one of the wooden spears with an infected tip up to the tree, and Chen Liyi caught it, with no problems at all. The quality of the weapon and the paralytic were good. It's time to head out. The tribe ladies are to stay in the camp to guard and protect the children. The rest will bring the weapons to follow the king up the mountain. They could not be any more pumped up now that the hunt has started. With the split mountain axe in hand, Chen Liyi led the charge. It's about time to show those cows what their tribe is capable of. They arrived at the cliffs early in the morning. The plan would be to have the king act as bait by himself, while everyone else waits for the next phase. Of course, going down there to taunt the herd was incredibly reckless and dangerous. But the king is so powerful that his tribe couldn't help but believe that the plan will work. Sticker acted as their scout, signaling everyone to get ready for action. With his sharp eyes, he saw some movement near the river bend. Big and another tribe lady tagged along to supply the spears in time. They must prioritize Stick in the rotation. They can't let their ace run out of weapons. Since the king is taking on the biggest risk, Stonebone knows that everyone else can afford to make mistakes. 10 minutes ago, Chen Liyi had already made his way deep into the cow herd territory, escaping detection. Based on his last experience, he could always safely retreat to the stone mountain. But for the sake of caution, he'll lure out a small one first. Moving like the wind, he hopped through multiple bushes to get closer. He can't afford to trip up now, or his life would be put in jeopardy. When he got to a comfortable distance, he threw a piece of rock as hard as he could. It hit the grazing cow's head. Getting the cow's attention, he immediately shouted immature trash talk in an attempt to taunt the beast. It was an extremely effective method, so effective that even the other cow's attention was provoked. Instead of just one cow, 3 monsters were now heading for him with high intensity. Chen Liyi had no other choice but to play along and run. These cows were not messing around, they were bulldozing whatever foliage stood in their way. It didn't take too long for the king to arrive within earshot of his men, ordering Stonebone to aim for the first beast gunning for him. They must focus their attacks on one enemy at a time. Stonebone calmly relayed the orders to the others as they raised their weapons. On his command, the poisoned spears rained down from the cliff. All of them pierced through the cow's thick hide. It infuriated the beast, speeding up in an attempt to catch Chen Liyi. But now, its stick's turn to get some shots in. Without a hint of hesitation, the throwing master did what he did best. The spear that tied it up together hit the cow in the neck. An accumulation of paralytics finally knocked down one of the monsters. The king was nearly wiped out, but he managed to cling to the cliff while the pursuer went down. But they weren't done yet. 2 more cows were coming in hot, with not enough time to hit the brakes. They crashed on the cliff, shaking and breaking Chen Liyi's hold. Before he falls to the cold and solid ground, a strong hand grabs onto his. Stonebone came in clutch with the rescue, pulling the king up while everyone else continued to attack. They need to deal the killing blow, while the beast is down and out. Stonebone effectively conducted their target prioritization, while Big Big checked on the king. When Chen Liyi turned around, he saw that Stonebone had awakened his talent as a leader. No wonder the guy commands the hunters so well. Stonebone is a guy worth cultivating into a more capable leader in the future. Stonebone also noticed that the commotion below had died down. The 3 cows have been completely neutralized using the paralytic herb. The king didn't expect that the tranquilizer would be so potent. It didn't even give the cows a chance to go berserk. But Secret was already seeing signs of the rest of the herd charging over. Their heavy stomps were menacing as they crossed the river. The response was faster than expected, thanks to the noise from earlier. Chen Liyi took up arms and assured everyone that everything was going according to plan. They just need to finish off the 3 monsters below, and the rest will be determined in the next episode.